Sir, 2 minutes left. 2 minutes.
Yeah, still it is not 3.
So we can start now. Am I audible?
Shilpa, you
Yes.
can
Yes.
start
Yes.
the YouTube
Yes,
recording.
yes. Done, sir. Done. Good to go, sir.
So, dear all participants, good afternoon to everyone. Respected Chairman of the workshop, Dr. Balakrishnan sir, General Secretary Dr. Parveen Sharma sir, Dr. Kamal sir, all respected executives of NPT and dear participants. Last week we have completed 2 sessions on good clinical practice, mainly on overview of GCP and responsibilities of stakeholders in the clinical trial. Now NPT has also uploaded the PPT as well as the video recording of the event on the dashboard. One request to all participants that if anybody wants to ask any question, they can post the question in chat box and no other information should be posted in the chat box like I am present, etc. Now moderators will take the question during the discussion or will be answered by the speaker in the chat box also. Now this year National Association of Pharmacology and Therapeutics are having their annual conference called as NAPTICON 2026 under the leadership of Dr. Dinesh Badial sir at Ludhiana, Punjab. Now I request Dr. Badial sir to release the video of NAPTICON 2026 at Ludhiana. Over to Dinesh Badial sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh. Please go ahead with the video release.
बोल दो मैं तो 70% बैटरी थी
सही है ना, वे चल जाएगा।
कैसे आ रहा है
Voice is not audible, Doctor sir.
Okay.
You can repeat it again.
आवाज नहीं दे रहा।
Good day, dear pharmacology friends and colleagues. It It is my great pleasure to share that NAPTICON 2026, the fifth national conference of the National Association of Pharmacology and Therapeutics, will be hosted by the Department of Pharmacology, Christian Medical College, Ludhiana, Punjab, India, from 19th to 21st November 2026. The theme of the conference is Redefining Paradigms in Pharmacology from Research to Patient Care. The conference will begin 2026 with hands-on interactive pre-conference workshops addressing major and emerging areas in pharmacology. The main scientific sessions on 20th and 21st November will bring together academicians, clinicians, researchers, regulators, and industry stakeholders to stimulate meaningful dialogues, foster collaborations, and drive innovations in pharmacology and therapeutics. The academic program promises to be rich and engaging, featuring insightful panel discussions, high-impact symposia, keynote addresses, distinguished guest lectures, and an exciting quiz competition. The website of the conference is https://napticon.com. The Christian Medical College Hospital in Ludhiana, an educational and research institution of All India character, is celebrating 132 years of service and excellence. The campus houses 5 constituent colleges: medical, dental, nursing, physiotherapy, and allied health sciences. As a recognized hub of medical education, CMC faculty has made significant contributions to the development and implementation of competency-based undergraduate and postgraduate curricula in pharmacology in India. CMC Ludhiana holds a unique distinction in India as the NMC Nodal Center for Faculty Development from 2009 and FEMA Regional Institute from 2006 and an ME Center for Medical Education. Ludhiana ranked 49th among India's top 100 smart cities, is Punjab's largest city and a vibrant blend of heritage, culture and industry. Popularly known as Manchester of India, it serves as a commercial capital of Punjab, is situated along the banks of River Satluj and is globally recognized for its cycle industry and woolen manufacturing. On behalf of National Association of Pharmacology and Therapeutics and the Department of Pharmacology CMC Ludhiana, on behalf of the NAPTICON 2026 team, I extend a warm and cordial invitation to all of you to join us at NAPTICON 2026 at Christian Medical College, Ludhiana and Hospital. Long live MPT. Jai
Thank you, sir.
Thank
NPT
you.
is having its fifth national conference at CMC Ludhiana, as mentioned by Badiyal sir, on 19th, 20th, and 21st of November 2026. Again, as president of NPT, I request all of you to register for this annual conference. Today, we are having 2 new topics. First is on informed consent process by Dr. Komal sir, and second by myself on ethics committee composition and individual responsibilities of members. The first session will be moderated by Dr. Debashish Ray sir. Sir is presently working as professor and head Department of Pharmacology at Government Medical College, Agartala, Tripura. Sir is having total experience of more than 20 years. He is having UG and PG examiners of various universities. Sir is also working as member secretary of IEC as well as chairman CSC Ethics Committee. Sir is also acted as ex officio member of Tripura State Allied and Healthcare Council. Sir is also trained in BCBR, BCME, CISP, research methodology as well as GCP and clinical trials. Sir is having more than 20 publications in national as well as international journals. Sir is also acted as a speaker at GCP training, research methodology and pharmacovigilance program of India. So I welcome to Dr. Ray sir for this today's workshop who will act as a moderator. Now the second session will be moderated by Dr. Kiran Giri madam. Sir is working as professor and head, Institute of Medical Sciences, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. She is having gold medal in MD Pharmacology in the year 2013. Madam is also acting as subject expert committee of CDSCO, Government of India. She is also member secretary, Institute Ethics Committee, IMS, Banaras Hindu University. She is also working as a clinical pharmacologist, Institute Ethics Committee of MPM, MCH, Varanasi. She is also a member of the Multidisciplinary Research Unit at BHU, and she has author of 40 research publication, as well as she has also contributed to 4 book chapters. She has also worked as principal or co-investigator in the 3 extramural and 2 intramural research projects. She also has organized national workshop on bioethics, GCP, as well as GLP in the March 2025. I also welcome Dr. Giri Madam for this workshop as a moderator. Now, I request Dr. Debashish Ray sir to introduce today's first speaker, Dr. Komawat sir. First session will be for 25 minutes, followed by question and answer session for 10 minutes. Over to Dr. Debashish Ray sir.
Thank you. It's my proud privilege to introduce the first speaker of second session of the GCP workshop. So first, I thank the executive of NPT and the organizers giving me this opportunity. So today's first speaker is Dr. Rajesh Kamath, and he is the head of medical service and clinical development of the Himalaya Wellness Company. He has over 30 years of total experience in the public health and pharmaceutical industry, with key role in Lupin, then Francis Oncology, and Ranbaxy and Sun Pharma. Did pilot project of RNTCP as medical officer, tuberculosis control sponsored by the WHO. His expertise includes various domains like clinical development and clinical operations. He spearheaded many phase 1 to phase 4 multicentric clinical trials for DCGI and US FDA. Currently, he oversees medical and clinical development for Himalayas global products and implementation of pharmacovigilance in herbal industry. So I welcome Dr. Rajesh to go ahead with his presentation. That is, his topic is informed consent process. Thank you. Dr. Rajesh, please.
Yeah. So thanks, Dr. Ray, for nice introduction, and thanks to NPT and the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity to share my understanding and my views with the young professional. That is a requirement of the time. So I'm just sharing, and uh, please share whatever the query or clarification. I have tried to make it more user friendly, not hardcore technical. So still, if you want anything, we are always there. Not in this meeting, even after that. So I'm just again, I'm sorry, the same issue.
सर आपका पीपीटी ओपन करके रखिए, फिर बाद में शेयर स्क्रीन.
It is opened.
हाँ, now click on the share screen.
Yeah, it is there.
Zoom पे share screen click.
I sir.
Yeah. Right.
हाँ सर,
Right.
हमें आपका फोल्डर दिखाई दे रहा है.
No, I've just shared.
हाँ, या फोल्डर आ रहा है सर, वो स्टॉप
अभी भी
करके
folder
आप
ही?
स्टॉप. हाँ, एक बार स्टॉप कर दीजिए सर. हाँ, Now again click on the share screen. अभी आपको जो विंडो आएगा उसमें से आपका
एक मिनट.
पीपीटी का एक आइकॉन दिखेगा, वो क्लिक कीजिए सर.
No PPT icon is available.
शेयर स्क्रीन करते वक्त एंटायर स्क्रीन के नीचे आपका पीपीटी का एक आइकॉन आएगा सर.
It is in window. No, last time it was open in the. So you are able to see my folder now, is it?
यस,
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
फोल्डर आ रहा है सर, पीपीटी नहीं आ रहा है.
Now PPT is available.
नो सर,
Why it
आपको
is
दिखाई
not?
दे
Sir,
रहा है
click,
लेकिन हम
click,
लोगों
click
को
on
इधर
this.
नहीं है. आप स्टॉप शेयरिंग सर. हाँ, अभी फिर से शेयर स्क्रीन क्लिक कीजिए. अभी आपको एक विंडो आ रहा है ना, उसमें एंटायर स्क्रीन के नीचे ही आपका पीपीटी का आइकॉन रहेगा.
So I should share entire screen now?
नो नो नो, उसके नीचे आपका पीपीटी का एक आइकॉन दिखाई दे रहा है सर आपको.
No.
आपका पीपीटी ओपन है क्या?
Yeah.
कुमार सर,
Yeah,
मेरे पास
yeah.
आपका पीपीटी है.
I think.
Sir, click
your-
on entire screen, then only you are able to.
एक minute. Just again.
Ma'am, sir is using from the browser, so I think he needs to select the only the icon. Sir,
Or
आपका PPT
Dakle sir,
open
if you can, yeah, you can share.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
That is why I am saying.
Yeah, it is not through app actually.
इसको बंद कर. ये नहीं करना बेटा, दूसरी करना है. समझ, ये कर. फुल स्क्रीन कर दे. Is it visible now?
No, sir. Dakle sir, I have shared by email.
No. I have shared na.
No, I am not able to see.
We can see the chat, sir. WhatsApp.
Yeah, WhatsApp chat we are able to see.
Now
No.
दोबारा करो उसको. अभी
Yeah.
आया?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Slideshow, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So again, good afternoon, everyone, and sorry for this technical glitch. As I'm not very comfortable with Zoom, being in the corporate, we usually take the MST. So it's thanks, Dr. Dakle, for supporting, and you'll have to take bother for me to change the slides now. So we would be discussing the informed consent process. So next slide, please. Yeah, so I would like to start ki why this ethics and the informed consent came into picture at all. The existence, the reason of existence of ethics was very, very bad, and it was known as a black chapter in the history of the medical science, I can say. So next slide, please. So many of you must have seen these two pictures. If it is not, then but I always take it is a very hardcore black chapter and the painful pictures of my career, I can say, in the clinical research and being the medical people. We should also remember these two things. First was in from the 1941 and 45, the world during World War II, the Nazis doctors carried out multiple experiment on the prisoners of war, and it is not that experiment was done, but the endpoint for many of the clinical trials were taken as a death as an endpoint, like they are putting on the eyes or putting on the height, how their BP and the pulse and temperature are moving, and it was the outcome of those studies. But the complete humanity was ashamed of all those things. And after the World War II, that Nuremberg trial happened, and that Nuremberg code of ethics came. And as I recall, out of 27, 17 doctors were hanged to death because of this crime they had done on the prisoners of war in the name of research. So this was the first incident. Second incidents which happened for multiple years from 1932 to 1972. So Tuskegee syphilis study, like syphilis was in intraoculated, and then the again unethical practice, and later on this particular incidents forced to prime minister president of USA to apologize to the world. So these two incidents, one was the unethical practice, Nazi war, and the second is the Tuskegee syphilis study, which triggered a kind of ethics in the human research. So next slide, please. So now we can see from these two examples that because of this Nazi human experiment, the Nuremberg Code came into picture. And then in the 1964, the Declaration of Helsinki, which we are still following, that is the backbone of the ethics in the clinical research or the medical research. And the Tuskegee, because it went from 32 to 72, in spite of that Declaration of Helsinki, it continued. And then Belmont report came into existence. So these are Nuremberg Code, Declaration of Helsinki, and Belmont report, which was related to the respect of the participant, came into existence. And ultimately, as we know, 96, 97, the GCP guideline, which also consists of the many of the ethics part, came into existence. But again, like in spite of all those things, all the good guidelines, awareness, again these two cases again made us ashamed. Like the informed consent was not properly followed in these two cases, if you are aware. Like one was and both was in India. Unfortunately, the 1984, the Bhopal gas tragedy victims, they were participated in the some trial. And then very recently, 2009, the HPV vaccine clinical trial was done in India. And of course, it was not so unethical, but the informed consent process, which should have been followed, it was not properly followed. So again, the stricter guideline alarmed each and every one of the researcher in India and across world. So what is the like informed consent came into picture and the ethics? One important part is the participants' rights. So what are the various rights of the participant in the clinical research or any kind of the research which involves a human volunteer? Yeah, next slide, sir. So one is whenever we are going in the trial, the participant has all the right to undergo the informed consent process, about which we will discuss in the subsequent slide. The very important aspect, that right to withdraw. If I am participating in the study, it is my right whenever, without any reason and without any consequences, I have right to withdraw. Then data confidentiality, whatever the out of the research data are collected, then it is a confidentiality has to maintained. And if the research is ongoing, then ongoing information also every participant, like some studies and some research are happening for 2 to 3 years, 5 years. We don't know what the information was available, but it is again, it is the right. So these are the four principal rights through consent process or the ethics. So what are the various kind of the consent type we will again discuss. It may be verbal, it may be paper written, and the third one is the audio visual. So these three kind of the consent, but the uh, overall like horizon of exercising these type of consent is altogether different. Like verbal consent is taken from 7 if the participant is 7 to 12 years, but the LAR signature legal acceptable representative we will discuss later on. But verbal is this paper in all clinical trial. Again, the signature is required of either participant or impartial witness or legal acceptable representative as per the rule. And the third is the audio visual, which is a must for all vulnerable subjects. Vulnerable population also comes into picture, and NCs. So these three types of the consent are prevalent. So we come to the part of the informed consent document. How the informed consent document, and honestly, I am sharing with you most of the students to whom we interview or are in the research, they are not able to justify this. Informed consent document is divided into two parts. One is a patient information sheet, which we call PIS. That is only for the information and the discussion. Second part come as a ICF. So ICD is divided into PIS and ICF. PIS is only for discussion, and once the person agreeing to participate, even after that particular process, then ICF comes into picture, and that requires signatures. So we always should keep remember. The what PIS include? It is a background of the research, objective about the investigational product or the other therapeutic product, whatever we are using, potential benefits and the risk, alternative treatment, emergency contact, and rights of the participants. So all these, of course, the details are available in the GCP guideline, but we have to keep all these things in mind. So these after PIS, this is the informed consent form, and here we can see the various signatures are required, the details are required, who will sign, when to sign, everything is written and it should be clearly mentioned. The red flag which you can see, it was recently added about the compensation part, which was included in the Indian GCP, how the compensation will be given in case of the severe injury or death, whatever is applicable. So these income, what is the occupation, what is the age, who is the nominee, everything is written in the consent form clearly. Yeah. So this is the part which we really want to discuss, that when the patient, and now again I just want to, I'm sorry that it is patient or subject has not to be written in any of the research. It is a participant that we have to, this is a recent development in the guidelines. So the if the participant is literate, then directly that patient person can sign and date the ICF. ICF, again I am telling you, it is different from ICD. ICD is a PIS plus ICF. PIS is only information, ICF is for signing. So literate person can directly sign. If the person is illiterate, then that person will put a left thumb impression, and then the impartial witness will sign on his behalf. But the thumb impression is there. So that is the one part. But in case of medical emergency or the person is incompetent to sign or put the thumb impression, then legal acceptable representative, LAR we call, LAR comes into picture, especially like in the uh, young children or unconscious patient or some incompetent, like cognition incompetent is there, and the person has to be part of the research, then LAR comes into picture. Again LAR, if the person is illiterate, then again the person has to uh, put a thumb impression, and then again impartial witness comes into picture. So these, my sincere request to all of you, the learner, the young professional, we should know the difference between the literate participant, illiterate participant, the impartial witness, and the legal acceptable representative. So this is again a part that what who can be an impartial witness. This is a very common question which is asked. So it should not be any kind of, like, impartial means impartial, they are not known. So any member from the respective member of the society or who are part of the hospital also, that is fine, but it cannot be in a impartial, cannot be in a hierarchy by any mean in their profession or anything. Otherwise, it is a kind of a forceful uh, witnessing the consent. So impartial witness cannot be related in any way to the participant. Yeah. So this is again very important part, the assent and the parent guardian consent. Assent is when the children cannot do the signing or cannot give the consent before 18 years of age. So that assent comes into picture. Yeah. Next. Yeah. So these are the part of the like assent and the consent. If the children is below 7 years and they are participating in any research, then no assent is required, no consent is required. Only the parent or LAR has to be participate in the consent process. If the children is between 7 to 11 years of age, the verbal assent is required. Assent means the person who is participating, the child who is participating has to give his or her consent to participate in the study, and it should be documented by the again parent or LAR. It is again from 7 to 11. 12 to 18, the child has to witness the right the consent, like he has to sign or thumb impression, whatever. So it is a 7 to 11 is a only verbal assent, 12 to 18 is a written assent, and then vetted by the parent or LAR is a must. So these are the various differences and how we have to carry out the research. And this is the example of the one of the assent form where the it can be written, and then you can find out all these things on the GCP website and everything. But we have to keep it in mind where to look at. Yeah. Next, please. So these are the various part, and now we come to the process like informed consent process. Again, that was a part. Like, what is the informed consent, and now it is a process. And process is we should always keep into mind that it is a continuous process. It is not. It may or may not be a one-time process. It is a continuous and it is a voluntary. So these two terminology has to be kept in mind every time whenever we are doing a research, continuous and voluntary. So this is the process which we have to keep it in mind, that how the various steps are taken. So first is the discussion, like discussion, as I told earlier, that it is a PIS. So detailed discussion between the investigator or the designee and the participant and their LAR or the legal representative or the parent, whatever. So first part is very, very important. It is a discussion. Sir, if you can click one by one. Yeah. So this is in the during the discussion what we have to keep, that it should be a current PIS, whatever EC or IRB approved version being used. Many times we see that it is outdated. EC has approved the new version, but it is not used. So there's a biggest mistake which we come across. And ICF, whatever the patient information sheet or ICF where we have to sign, it should be in the language understood by the subject, means should be in the vernacular language, whatever it is there in any state, like whatever the 4 5 language we have to be available, the document should be available in the translated language. The second is, after discussion we have to give sufficient and adequate time to discuss. So allow the adequate time, subject read the ICF, PIS and understand completely. Even they may take to home also the PIS and discuss with their personal doctors or the family relative or anybody. So that kind of adequate time is a very, very important aspect. Then if there is any concern about this thing, what whenever they read that this is and we have discussed about the research, so they have all the right to ask any question, and the question has to be satisfactorily answered by the site team and the investigator. Then, if the person agrees to participate in the study, then the review of the completeness of the document is important. As we have seen, lot of fields are there to be filled, and it cannot be incomplete. And so they verify the completeness, and ultimately it is signed. And signature form is also a very big form. So everybody who are liable to sign for that particular form to participate in the study should be signed and dated clearly. Otherwise, it is a flag of not conducting the ICD process in a full. So these are very, very important part: the discussion, adequate time, the concern clarification, review, and ultimately sign. So before everything is not there completed, we cannot do the study. Otherwise, it is an unethical part. So these are the some uh, concern or the challenges we come across when the studies are happening, especially in the industry study. What we have come across, these are the few examples. So these are like subject signature and the person obtaining consent on different date. It is not correct. Like person has signed today and the doctor or investigator or his designee to sign the informed consent are on the different dates. Then it is a flow, means it was a some forceful clinical trial was done, and the subject consented with the wrong version. As I discussed, the person obtaining consent sign the form before the subject. That is also not possible. First the participant has to sign everywhere, the LAR or impartial witness or parent has to sign the complete form. Then once everything is over, then investigator has to sign. uh, the other are check like boxes with consent for is the incomplete, crossed out, that is again a GCP language, uh, unable to locate the consent of the subject. Like everything has to be documented in the source documentation of the hospital or clinic, that how the consent process was given. If it is not there, sometime the subject identity is also not matching. The consent form is written some different name, telephone number, or contacts which is not matching with the record, hospital record or the clinic record. Then these are the miss gap in the ICD process. So these all the things are to be kept in mind once we go through the clinical research or the any. These are the few example when the consent is done. I, as I told, that it is a continuous process, it is a voluntary. So when the reconsenting is required, so must be carried out in these 3 4 cases we have given. Whenever there is amendment to the informed consent document for whatever the reason, there are multiple reasons. When the amendment happens, the study design change or the schedule is change, IP change, new information comes unavailable, then safety has to be incorporated in the PIS, the informed consent, and then it has to be communicated to the participant. And the important aspect that, as we discussed, below 18 years, it is a ascent from 7 to 12 and 12 to 18. That is known as ascent, and ascent is a different form. If the during the study, if the person turns out to be 18 years, then the different consent form has to be signed. So these three are very, very critical and important aspect, so that we have to. These are the routine, like whatever we are doing and we have been doing for last, like I am doing for last 20 years. And you people in the academia also must be going through the multiple kind of researches, and we are following the written document. But the recent development which has happened, that now it is a digital era, AI era. So digital and e-consent trend is also coming up. It is, of course, because of the technical glitches, it is still not very popular. Like here we can see here in the 2016 guideline had come from US FDA for e-consent, and that is a very, very good tool for a good platform which requires only electronic signatures. And the interactive multimedia tools are there, video, animation, quizzes, and everything. So all the things can be discussed digitally also, and the digitally signature is also possible, but we have to follow stricter guideline. Because as of now we can see, even when we are not 100% correct in the paper based consent also, it is not a hardcore compliant, then it is very difficult for us to follow the digital compliance. That's why it is not popular, and most of the time, like, it is not approved also in India, because neither we have capability nor we have tool. So this is a like a basic about my, though the topic is very very big, we can talk about the consent form whole day, but it is a very basic thing which we want to keep into mind, that ICD, what is ICD? It is a two part information sheet, the consent form, when we have to sign, who has to sign, what are the various part of the consent form, all these things. Like it is a really, I'm just in industry, so I would like to share that these are the very common questions. What is the difference between the impartial witness, legal acceptable representations? So this is the conclusion, and whatever it is there, we are always there. So this is the conclusion from my side, that informed consent process is the foundation of the ethical research. We have not to repeat the Nuremberg or the Tuskegee study or Bhopal gas or HPV vaccine kind of study, because this is the responsibility of everybody who are involved in the clinical research, medical research, anyone. So takeaway message is that we have to keep these two things in mind, that we should go for a responsible research and we have to become a responsible researcher. Thank you very much for patiently. Of course, I have to run, but hope something I could convey the message about this.
Debashish Ray, sir, you can go ahead. Debashish Ray, sir, are you there? So there is one question in the chat box, sir.
Yeah.
Why witness, for example, he may be asking about the impartial witness. Why witness should not be related to the patient?
Then it is not a impartial. Impartial means no way related to the participant. That is the only reason. That's why it is a impartial witness. Otherwise, it would be called as a forced consent. It may be falling into the criteria of the forced informed consent. So it is not a genuine research then.
Correct, sir. Any
Otherwise, so
question?
like I'm participating some, you can ask like as a HOD in the hierarchy, somebody is there and I want to conduct a research, so I can force my students also, the PG student, the nursing staff, hospital who are working, especially it happens in the academia. It always, it does not happen, but the example is given for academia and the defense also, because nobody can say no. So then it is not an impartial witness.
Another question is, can you clarify, is ICF mandatory for research proposals eligible for IEC waiver?
IEC waiver is there are as per the ICMR guideline, there are three four kind of waivers are given by IEC, like retrospective if data is collated, or some emergency when the disaster, when the uh, no time to take the informed consent, we have not to. So in this case, or the surveillance studies like 10 years diabetes data, that is also research. So these 4 5 examples are given in the ICMR guideline, where the IEC waiver can be given, but not in most of the time. It is not 99%. It is not.
And they are saying, sir, is ICF mandatory even for waiver of consent?
ICF means signature. So
Correct.
signature, of course, the person will not be doing like 10 years data I'm collating. So it's not a ICD process itself is not required. So ICF is not also, ICF is a part of the ICD. So it is not required.
Next question, sir, when audio and video recording is required for the consent?
So that I have written, like especially in the vulnerable population, and vulnerable population is the children, prisoner of war, participant from the academic, same academic institute, and defense. These are the vulnerable population. So whenever these are included in the study, then audio visual consent is required. And with the new guidelines and everything, if we are doing the study in NC, especially the new chemical entity, then it is also, as per the Indian guideline, the audiovisual is required, but the complete documentation process and the recording has to be kept as an archive. Anybody can check that.
So it means audio video considering is required for new chemical entity and the population if it is a vulnerable population in
Vulnerable, yeah.
clinical trial. Now over to Debashish Ray, sir. Questions are over, sir. Debashish Ray, sir.
Yes, there are some issue in connection.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. We can go ahead with the next topic.
Thank you,
Hello,
sir.
is it audible? Is it audible? Okay. So if anybody, any participant have any questions, then directly can contact with the speaker, and I hope he will be kind enough to answer those issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is my PPT visible, sir? Is my
Not yet,
PPT?
sir.
Just a minute. Now is it visible?
Yes, sir. Now it is visible. Yeah.
Okay. Now
Can
I
I go ahead,
request.
sir?
Yes. Now I
Okay.
request Dr. Kiran Giri madam to introduce the next speaker. This session will be for 25 minutes, followed by question and answer session in the chat box. Over to Dr. Giri madam.
Thank you so much, sir. I thank Dr. Rajesh Kumawat, sir, for his detailed deliberation and explanation regarding the informed consent process. At the outset, I'm very thankful to Dr. C.M. Kamal, sir, founder and national coordinator of NPT, Dr. Ganesh Dhakle, sir, and Dr. Balkrishnan, sir, for organizing this timely workshop on the national workshop on the GCP. It is my privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker for the session, Dr. Ganesh Dhakle, sir. Sir is the professor and head of the Department of Pharmacology, AIMS Nagpur, and currently serve as the Dean Examination at AIMS Nagpur. He has over 25 years of distinguished experience in academic and regulatory clinical research, pharmacovigilance, and ethics in biomedical research. He is an eminent academic leader and has held several prestigious positions. He was elected as president of National Association of Pharmacology and Therapeutic in 2025. Earlier served as general secretary. In recognition of his outstanding contribution to clinical research, he was appointed as the chair of Ethics Council of Indian Society of Clinical Research in 2025. Sir is also a subject expert member in DCGI, nodal officer of ICMR intent at AIMS Nagpur. He has honored with several awards, Hall of Fame Award ICSCR in 2022 and Best Teacher Award at several times, 2012, 13 and 18. Today, he will be delivering an important session on ethics committee composition and individual responsibility of member. I request sir to kindly start his deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Giri madam, for your valuable and good introduction of myself. Now I will go ahead with my presentation. So the topic is ethics committee composition and responsibilities of the individual members of ethics committee. So objectives of my lecture will be to impart the knowledge and mostly related to the what is the composition of ethics committee, what are the various role of individual members of both the ethics committee, and how to review the any clinical trial protocol submitted to the ethics committee. So all of you know that ethics committee is nothing but the independent body. Why it is called independent? Because it is it the working and functioning as well as decision making of the ethics committee is independent of the nature, in the sense that all the decisions by the ethics committee is taken without the help of the head of the institute. and therefore it is constituted of medical, scientific as well as non-scientific members. And if you go ahead with the main function of ethics committee, main function of ethics committee is protection of subjects' right, safety and well-being. Not only that, they also review the protocol, approve it, as well as they also go ahead with the continuing review of monitoring of the protocols. Now all of you know that there are two ethics committees. That is one ethics committee which is registered with the Department of Health and Research, which is mostly present in most of the medical colleges, and they mainly go ahead with the approval of thesis as well as various faculty protocol. And for this ethics committee which is registered with the DHR, they don't need the approval from the regulatory authority, that is the DCGI. That is one first ethics committee, whereas the second ethics committee is registered with the DCGI, and this ethics committee gives the approval to all the regulatory trial, that is phase 1 to phase 4 clinical trials. So in short, if you want to go ahead with phase 1 to 4 clinical trials with your ethics committee, you have to register with the Drug Controller General of India. And for other, just like thesis, faculty protocol, other ICMR protocols where there is no need of regulatory approval, then you can go ahead with registration of ethics committee with the Department of Health and Research. So first of all, we will go ahead with the DCGI oriented ethics committee. This ethics committee have minimum of 7 members, which may be a combination of medical, non-medical, scientific as well as non-scientific members. And the important thing is that there should be one lay person, one woman member, along with one legal expert and one social scientist. So this is generally, it is already mentioned in the NDCT rule, that is New Drug and Clinical Trial Rule 2019 in chapter 3 under the rule number 7. Now, for this DCGI-oriented ethics committee, which approves phase 1 to phase 4 clinical trial, at least 50% of its members should be the non-affiliated. Means, if there are 10 members in our ethics committee, at least 50%, that is 5, should be outside the institution. And this is for just to avoid the bias nature of the ethics committee. As well as chairperson always should be from outside the institute, whereas member secretary should be from inside the institute to look after day-to-day activity of the ethics committee. At least one member whose primary area of interest or the specialization should be the non-scientific one, and every member shall be required to undergo the training. Trainings is required as per as initial as well as the annual training for every ethics committee member. And if there is a protocol from the specific vulnerable population, then you can allow the specific population representative in the ethics committee, as well as if there are only 10 persons and suppose there may not be a person from the various department like gynecology and orthopedics, then you can have a expert, subject expert, and this subject expert can be invited to give their opinion on the protocol, but that person is not having the voting power. Now, for quorum requirement for this DCGI oriented ethics committee is mainly there should be at least 5 persons, and first one is the clinician, followed by basic medical scientist, and if it is a drug trial, pharmacologist is must. Third is the layperson, fourth is the legal expert, and fifth one is the social scientist. Although there are 5 persons, all these people, 5 people, are having their different responsibilities in the ethics committee. Then going ahead with the conditions of appointment, if you want to appoint any member, then that member should be ready to go ahead with conflict of interest declaration, and this conflict of interest may be of different types. Suppose if you take the example that I am working in AIMS Nagpur, and suppose my wife is also working in the AIMS Nagpur, so it acts as a conflict of interest whenever there is submission from my wife in the ethics committee, I should go ahead with conflict of interest declaration with the chairperson before the start of meeting, and during the discussion of the meeting I should remain absent from decision making process. Then all the person should maintain the confidentiality of the subject as well as all the information that has been given during any ethics committee meeting. All the persons should have time as well as interest, and they should be ready to go ahead with initial training as well as continuous training called as the annual training during their period as a ethics committee member. So these are some of the conditions of appointment who are ready to go ahead with ethics committee member. Then if you want to go ahead with the registration of this clinical trial study with the DCGI, then you have to go ahead with the application in the form called as clinical trial 01, and you will get the approval in the form of clinical trial 02. Approval time is they have mentioned in NDCT rule as 45 days, and if they reject your application, then you have a appeal to go ahead with within 60 days. Now, if you go ahead with this approval, then validity is mainly for the 5 years. After 5 years, again, before the expiry of 90 days, we have to apply for the re-registration with the DCGI. And suppose if there is any change in the constitution of EC, suppose one member, say for example, layperson, resign from the ethics committee, then you can appoint the another person as the layperson, but you have to correspond with the DCGI within the 30 working days. Now this is all about the DCGI oriented ethics committee, which gives approval to the clinical phase 1, 2, 3 and 4 clinical trials. Now something about ethics committee which gives the approval for biomedical and health research. Again, it is a multidisciplinary and multi-sectorial, just like the previous one. Herein also there may be a 7 to 15 members, and quorum requirement is at least 5 member. Just in the previous section when I discussed quorum requirement, there were 5 persons, specifically clinician, pharmacologist and 3 non-scientific member in the form of layperson, lawyer and one more is social worker. But in this biomedical and health research, though there are 70 to 50 members, quorum requirement is 5. And again, there may be a chairperson from the outside, mix of non-medical and medical members, adequate representation of age as well as gender should be there. And as mentioned previously, preferably 50% should be the affiliated as well as non-affiliated member. There should be an equal member. Then there may be a set of alternate members. This set of alternate members provision is there in biomedical and health research. But for DCGI oriented ethics committee, there is no set of alternate members. Same required subject expert can be invited to offer their views. Now, dual roles of ethics committee member. It means that if a single person, like if somebody working as a member secretary and he is also a pharmacologist, then as far as biomedical and health research ethics committee, it is okay. But if it is a DCGI oriented ethics committee, then they are not going to allow you. So dual role of a single person is accessible or is allowed only in the DHR ethics committee, but not for the clinical trials. At the same time, this head of the institution should not be the part of the ethics committee, but he should only act as a appellate authority, or if there is any issue related to the ethics committee, any person can go ahead with the head of the institution, but he should not be the part of the ethics committee. Otherwise, it will act as a conflict of interest. Now, there are some differences between these two ethics committee as far as CDSCO ethics committee is concerned, which is mainly for the clinical trial. Basic requirement are 5 persons: basic medical scientist, clinician, legal, social scientist, and layperson. Whereas, as per the ICMR guidelines for biomedical and health research, they have also mentioned the 5 members, but in that 5 members, they are saying that quorum should include both medical as well as non-medical or technical and non-technical members. Out of these 5, one should be the minimum of one non-affiliated member should part of the quorum. Preferably the lay person should be the part of the quorum. So in this ICMR guidelines, they are more stressed on the lay person to be a part of the quorum. And also they have mentioned that there should not be any decision valid without the fulfillment of the quorum. But as far as CDSU is concerned, these 5 persons, basic medical scientist, clinician, legal, social scientist, and layperson are must. So these are few of the differences between these two ethics committee. Now going ahead with the one group activity, suppose this is the ethics committee composition at AIMS Nagpur, which is reviewing the regulatory clinical trial, and they have involved the pediatric population, means vulnerable population. Meeting was held on 5/3/26 at AIMS Nagpur. These were the composition. For example, Dr. A, Director and CEO, HOD Medicine, Gynecology, Lawyer and Social Worker. Now, you see, ethics committee has reviewed and approved the study protocol with signature of Dr. XYZ as the chairperson. They have also mentioned it. So, my question is comment on the composition, quorum as well as approval letter. So, you can write your answers in the chat box. What are the deficiencies in the composition of ethics committee? You can write your answer in the chat box. Whether it is correct or not. Any answer? Is it correct composition as I have told now? Anything? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. Yes, they have mentioned that director should not be the part of the EC, correct? No basic scientist, this is also correct. Director cannot be the member, CEO cannot be the chairperson, no pharmacologist, absolutely correct. HOD pediatric should be invited as a member, basic scientist is missing, correct. So the thank you to all who have given the messages. Basically, as mentioned previously, in this composition, you are saying that director and CEO of the AIMS Nagpur is heading the chairmanship. But as mentioned previously, he should not be the member of the committee. Why? Otherwise, it will go ahead with the conflict of interest and bias may be there. At the same time, if it is regulating clinical trial ethics committee, then as mentioned previously, 5% should be there. Out of these, how many are there? Only 3 are there. One is clinician, one is lawyer, another is social worker. Who is missing? Mainly the pharmacologist is missing as well as layperson is missing. Along with this quorum, there should be a chairperson as well as the member secretary. Again, you can go ahead with the approval letter where they have mentioned that approval letter is signed by Dr. XYZ. But for this meeting, who is the chairperson? It is the director and CEO. That is Dr. A should sign this approval letter. So these are few of the queries that may be there in composition as well as quorum requirement. So my suggestion to all of you that who are looking after the ethics committee, that whenever you are going with any composition of the ethics committee, think that every person, say for example, clinician, lawyer, social worker, out of these 5 people, you can have 2 from every category, so that there will be a total 10 persons. One person will act again, 11 person will act as a chairperson, and 12 person will act as a member secretary. So that in any meeting, even single person is absent, then that meeting cannot work as a invalid. Otherwise, it becomes difficult to go ahead with the satisfaction of the quorum. So coming to term of membership, Who shall appoint the members? Generally, the members are appointed by the head of the institute, but it should be mentioned in the standard operating procedure. If standard operating procedure of any ethics committee is saying that only chairperson and member secretary will be appointed by the head of the institute, it is also okay, and rest of the person can be appointed by the member secretary with chairperson, but at the same time there should be a consensus from the head of the institute also. Coming to terms of appointment in the SOP also, we should mention that what should be the duration of the term. Generally it remains for 2 to 3 years, and once that is over and if the performance is good, then you can reappoint the person also. Policy for removal, somebody may be absent for continuous for 5 meetings, again it should be written in the SOP, then you can remove that person. Then again in SOP you should mention the frequency of meeting. Sometimes this frequency of meeting depends mainly on the protocol received to your ethics committee, as well as payment of processing fees to the ethics committee for review or honorarium should be mentioned in the standard operating procedure. So primary role of individual members of ethics committee, as mentioned previously, is the protection of participation with respect to their safety, rights and well-being in the clinical trial. So we will go ahead with responsibility of individual person in short. So first person and most important person is the chairperson, who should be the non-affiliated as mentioned previously. Qualification of that person should be, he should be a respected person from the any background, and the main importance is that person should have experience of serving in previous any ethics committee. And main responsibilities are these: conduct the EC meeting, seek the conflict of interest declaration. Mostly he is acting as a signing authority, and sometimes if there is any complaint against members of the PI, he is the person who is going to handle all the complaints. So main purpose or main responsibility of chairperson is to chair any meeting, and there should be have any consensus throughout the meeting. Then the next person is the member secretary. So he should be from inside the institute. Qualification is he should have good knowledge as well as experience in research as well as and the ethics. At the same time, there should be some protected time that should be given by the institutional head, because if it is a ethics committee member secretary, he has to look near number of problem during the ethics committee. Therefore there is importance of the protected time given by the head of the institution. And if you go ahead with the responsibilities of this member secretary, main responsibility is scheduling the EC meeting, prepare the agenda as well as the minutes, then ensure the ethics committee SOP is updated, and adherence of the EC function into the SOP. It means that whatever we are going to write in the standard operating procedure, that SOP has to be executed properly, and it's the responsibility of the member secretary. Then to give the training, initial training as well as um, annual training, assess need for expedited review or exemption from the review. So if there is any protocol submitted to the ethics committee, member secretary then decides with permission from the chairperson that protocol should undergo expedited, exempted review or the full committee review. Then third person is the clinician. He may be affiliated or non-affiliated. Qualification is recognized medical qualification and the training. Main responsibilities of clinician are provide the medical inputs on the protocol, inform consent form and other documents. And along with that, main responsibility lies with to go ahead with the design, methodology. If there is any placebo use in the clinical trial, what is the justification of that placebo use? Go ahead with risk benefit analysis. What is the qualification of principal investigator, as well as go ahead with inclusion and exclusion criteria, whether these are inclusion and exclusion criteria justified or not. And lastly, to take the clinical judgment of the trial. And main qualification of this person, that person should have postgraduate qualification. Same is with basic medical scientist. This person should have also a postgraduate qualification. and responsibilities are mainly provide the input of the scientific and ethical aspect of the study. Main function of this pharmacologist is to go ahead with the investigator's brochure to see the preclinical data and whether their protocol adequately addresses the issue of all this matter or not. At the same time, this basic medical science also goes for safety of the drug, risk benefit analysis, pharmacodynamics as well as pharmacokinetics of the drug, along with ACE reporting timelines has been followed or not, as well as the completion report. But main function of basic medical scientist is to go ahead with the investigator brochure details. Then this is the checklist which has to be given in our institute to the reviewer, mostly the clinician as well as basic medical scientist, and they go ahead with any risk benefit ratio. Then they also go ahead with the inclusion exclusion criteria, vulnerable subjects if it is there, then whether they are adequately protected, and lastly is there any conflict of interest, and lastly they mention whether decision of review, whether it is should be recommended, rejected, revision or recommended with the suggestion. And once it is done, then they submit to the ethics committee. So this is the checklist for the reviewer, especially clinician as well as basic medical scientist. Then coming to the legal expert, he may be affiliated or non-affiliated. Qualification is basic degree in law, and main responsibility of this lawyer is to go ahead with the details of clinical trial agreement, mainly whether there is a insurance of the clinical trial, whether there is any cost associated with the clinical trial, whether there is any cost associated with the clinical trial, and lastly whether there is any
Sir, you are not audible.
Sir, you're not audible. We are not able to hear you. Dr. Ganesh, sir? Am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam, you are
Yeah,
audible.
madam, you are audible, but Ganesh sir is not
Ganesh,
audible.
sir is not audible here. I think there is connection lost. So.
He is checking the connection again. Maybe
Okay,
there is
sir.
a discontinuity of the internet services.
Yes, sir. Might be possible.
Meanwhile, all the participants are requested to please note that they need not to write in chat box repeatedly the attendance present or any form. Your login is sufficient for us because we are having all the records through the Zoom. Thank you. This is the technical issue. Sir is trying to log in again. Maybe there are issues with the internet connectivity at his end.
Okay, sir.
All are requested kindly bear with us. Thank you.
So in the meanwhile, can we take some questions from the previous topic?
Yes, madam, we can take some questions.
Yes, sir.
If the questions are put in the message box, you
Yes,
can
sir.
speak the
Yes,
question.
sir. So there's
You
one
are-
question that, yeah. In retroviral study, whether the audiovisual consent is required? No, in retroviral study, only audio consent is required. No requirement of the video consent is there. Sir is there. Rajesh sir can highlight some of the points on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
and
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Yes,
In
sir.
certain, actually, as far as I recall, that in the HIV and all those studies which are considered as a stigma kind of thing, so like of
Only
course, like video is yeah, it is
not
not.
required.
Is
Yes, sir.
really appreciate the question actually, whoever
Yes,
has
sir.
raised.
The questions are also in depth. One more question is there. Is there any requirement of audiovisual consent in academic clinical trial?
No, that's why
No.
I did
Yes.
written. It is not compulsory. If they are taking, it is there, but it is not required. Requirement is
Audiovisual,
only for
yeah.
vulnerable and
New
this
chemical
NC
entity.
study.
Yeah. So in academic trial, it means they are taking an approved drug. So there is no need of the audiovisual
Yeah,
consent.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, academic clinical trial is done with the approved drug and is not a new clinical entity. So
Yeah.
only in the new clinical entity only audiovisual is required.
True.
So another issue regarding assent, written assent, you have told no for the verbal assent 7 to 11 years.
Yeah.
And you told then written assent is 12 to 18 years. So what about the gap between 11 to 12 years? Whether it is 11 years or
That
it is
might
just
be
below
the,
the 12 years?
What is
yeah,
up
yeah,
to
that
12
might be the
years?
It
mistake.
should,
It's up to 12 years.
yeah,
So
it should be
Up
below
to
12
12.
years.
7
Below
to
12 years.
12, 12 to 18. Yeah.
7 to 12, 12 to 18.
Yeah. 7 to below 12. And from 12, it will be again go that side.
These are
Written.
From,
So instead of
written
11
and
to,
verbal. Yeah.
from 12 to 18, if for written assent, they are eligible.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Some might be typo error.
Okay, one more question is there that does a questionnaire-based study on medical student conducted by a faculty on knowledge of a particular matter require IC approval? Yes, I think every study before initiation require a IC approval. Whether it is questionnaire-based study that IC will consider on which risk category it comes, but IC approval is mandatory.
But madam, this is a surveillance kind of study. So
Still,
I think waiver can be given.
no, sir, not for the waiver is granted for the consent, sir, not for the IC approval.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was spoke. Yeah, yeah. EC is must for everything. Yeah.
IC's approval is must.
Somebody is asking question that can CEO be the chairman? Again, as emphasized earlier, the chairman of the institutional ethics committee from the out of the institutions.
It is.
It is mandatory requirement, and somebody is asking the director can be a part of the ethics committee as a member only, but he cannot be a chairman. Mostly directors are also avoid to be involved in the institutional ethics committee because of the issues of the
I think
favor
director
issue.
cannot,
Pardon me, sir. So director from the new ICMR guidelines say that no administrative position can be a part of the ethics committee. Director
yeah.
dean cannot be a part of the ethics committee. If there is any matter, any conflict in ethics committee, they will approach to the director and dean for resolution.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
these are
director
the
dean-
recent changes, maybe, but this was a question of debate for a long time because directors were influencing the lot many studies. Some anybody can understand it is
yeah.
quite
Any
easy. So
issues, any issues, director can be affiliate authority. So he should be out of the
Yeah,
committee.
Yes, yes.
influence. So to avoid any kind of influence, actually.
Yeah, any kind of influence.
As it is an
So one
independent.
one question was there regarding a member can, how long he can continue as a member of the ethics committee. So whether this is addressed.
So it should be mentioned in your SOP. Some SOP mentioned that member can continue for 2 years. Some SOP mentioned that member can continue 3 years. So it is as per the SOP of the institution. And if the repeated term is given, then reason should be given that why repeat term to particular member is given. And at least there is 50% change should be there in the new constitution of the committee.
So there is another question has come up regarding the CTRI registration. That is the CTRI registration needed prior to conducting the studies comparing teaching learning methods on students?
CTRI is only mandatory for the clinical trial.
For the trial.
Yeah. The CTRI website say that if there is any confusion, you apply to it. If you have any confusion whether my trial is coming in academic, industry, or in between. But for teaching is the study kind of study, teaching learning method study, CTRI is not mandatory.
Yeah.
But it is good to register, but it is not mandatory.
It is not mandatory. Yeah.
Yeah, usually it is for intervention studies, which is CTRI is required again for the ethical aspect. The second is good publication house always require the CTRI. So interventional study which require high-end publication is CTRI required.
So nowadays, many academic institutions are also registering every study.
They are doing
because it is always good, as you have told earlier. It is always good, and
because the publication house always require that.
And there are no registration charges. Also, it is available for free.
It is free.
Yes. So most of the people.
Comparing. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Comparing the teaching learning methods is also one kind of intervention. So that can be registered, but it is not exactly, clinical trial is mandatory, but others is not mandatory.
Moreover, as somebody has told, the international journals, most of they are also asking the CTRI. So it is a good practice, and now it is become quite common also in day-to-day practice also, that most of the resident doctors are also registering their thesis works through the CTRI nowadays. Meanwhile, sir was trying to connect, but due to the connectivity issue with the internet, only 1 or 2 slides have been left. He has sent the slides. We will be posting the slides on the dashboard, and we are thinking of ending the session with the kind permission of Madam Giri and Dr. Debashish.
Please go ahead, sir. If sir is not able to connect, if there is any question,
we will be posting the slides on the dashboard and in the group also for further discussion. That further discussion can be added in the WhatsApp group also. Thank you all for your kind participation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's a very detailed deliberation from the Ganesh sir.
Thank you, Debashish Rai sir. Thank you, Kumawa sir. And thank you all the participants for your kind support to National Association of Pharmacology and Therapeutics for this excellent gathering, online gathering of GCP. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Shilpa, you can discontinue now. Thank you.
Okay, sir.